And now, here to let you know there is no perfect movie, here is Tyler Wolff.
What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and as promised in my beautiful boy review, I'm here to talk to you about why The Predator is no perfect movie. So The Predator centers around a sniper played by Boyd Holbrook who comes across the Predator as it crash lands on Earth. And once he realizes what it is and what it wants, he teams up with a group of mercenaries played by Trevante Rhodes, Keegan-Michael Key, Alfie Allen, Thomas Jane, and Augusto Aguilera, along with Holbrook's own son played by Jacob Tremblay, who has a form of autism, but is also very gifted at learning several different languages, including the Predator language. And I was semi-excited for this movie. I've never been a big Predator follower, but they're fine movies. I've just never loved them as much as most people have. And when I heard that Shane Black, who was an original actor from the first film, was coming back to direct this one, I was interested. Especially after seeing The Nice Guys, which, like most people, I think is criminally underrated. And when I heard about the cast that he brought in, I was even more excited because not only were these such likable actors, but I could see them pulling off Shane Black's self-referential comedic style. And I gotta say, Black's writing and the casting go hand in hand in making this movie extremely fun. This movie was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be, too. And once again, these actors and the writing go hand in hand in making that happen, because if either side was lacking, I don't think it would have been as good of an experience. Because these soldiers have absolutely no problem with taking shots at each other or their personal problems, but in a weird way, it's kind of a coping mechanism for the shit that they've experienced as soldiers, and it seems like each character is kind of aware of that. And the fact that it's done in such a comedic fashion honestly makes each person seem a lot more relatable. Especially Keegan-Michael Key and Thomas Jane. These two have the best chemistry, they have the best insults with each other, some of the best lines. I could have watched the two of them just be on their own in this movie, and it would have been a blast. And Boyd Holbrook, who hasn't really blown me away as much as an actor. I've never seen Narcos, and in Logan, he was fine, but they didn't really give him that much to work with. But here, he handles being the main action hero very well. He does have the hard-ass mentality of being a soldier, and is not afraid to take chances in order to get a mission done, but he also has this softer side with his son, and I genuinely believe that there was a connection. Because the two of them realize that neither one of them is the person they want to be. Tremblay does seem kind of insecure about the fact that everybody knows him as the autistic kid and that his father is a trained killer. But as Holbrook, in probably the best scene between the two of them, points out, is that nobody really does grow up to be the person they want to be. And it was a genuine moment, and I believe the fact that the two of them were father and son, and that they have spent a lot of time together in the past, and that they probably should more often. Olivia Munn as the main girl in this film did kind of get on my nerves a little bit, because she made a lot of forceful mistakes just for the sake of comedy or in order for the Predator to get away. In fact, there's an entire sequence in a military lab where the Predator gets away because after it wakes up from being sedated, the soldier's solution is to hold it down like it's a regular strength human. I'm not making this shit up. And her solution, which is even better to get out of the lab, is go into the decontamination pod, give up her tranq gun, and disrobe. And for whatever reason, the Predator looks at her naked and leaves. Again, there's no explanation for any of this. Not to mention, the majority of these mistakes come from the head of the military in this movie, Sterling K. Brown. And at first they kind of poke fun at the fact that he is this over-the-top commander. They have him popping mementos in his mouth every few minutes, kind of as a joke, but it never really works because Brown is so over-the-top in his line delivery that it's kind of hard to take him seriously just from a comedy perspective, let alone as this commander who seems to think he has everything under control and only discovers things at the last minute. And he seems to think he's a damn genius. And I don't know if that was on purpose, but either way, it just didn't work. But Munn does get better as the movie goes on, both physically and mentally, and as she starts to observe the Predator through the battle, she starts to realize its strengths and weaknesses from a biological standpoint, because she is a biologist, and it does help the main characters in their struggle. And Jacob Tremblay, this was the one character I was kind of worried about, because if you've seen my channel, you know that I am pretty sensitive towards characters who are on the spectrum, like I am. And even though there are a few moments that come across as being stereotypical, Tremblay, thank goodness, is not a complete robot in this movie. He does speak, once again, in a very Shane Black way, especially when he hurls insults towards Sterling K. Brown towards the end, that, I gotta be honest, I was just smiling there and I was going, okay, I like you. There is one problem with Tremblay's character, though, is that he doesn't really serve much of a purpose to the soldiers. If anything, he kind of accidentally helps the Predators, whether he realizes it or not. And again, it chalks up to poor decisions that are made just to advance the plot and make the Predator seem a lot more intimidating. Tremblay is the bait in this movie. He's the damsel. And again, damsels can be interesting characters, and he is a likable enough character to kind of ignore that fact, but there are some people who are just going to say he's just another kid character that's in need of saving, and if I'm being honest, they're probably not wrong. But the thing that disappointed me the most about this movie was the action. Shane Black is a very capable director, and if you've seen Iron Man 3 or Nice Guys, you know that he is pretty good at filming action scenes. But for whatever reason in this movie, not only are there too many cuts in between soldiers shooting at the Predator, but it comes very close to being like AVP Requiem, where you can't really see what's going on. Which is kind of weird considering the majority of the action are just the mercenaries firing up at the Predator, and not really that much else to it. There isn't a lot of shots from the Predator's perspective where he's looking at them through camouflage. There are a few, but they don't really last that long. And yes, it is a very R-rated, over-the-top violent movie, but again, because of the dim lighting and the awkward over-editing of the scenes, it's kind of hard to really feel the impact every time someone dies, which is an absolute shame because you can tell that the Predator is actually a guy in a suit as opposed to a CG creature, and that part was really impressive, and the actor in the suit did a really good job. I don't need the Predator to be a complex story or have thought-provoking messages. I just need it to be fun. And thanks to Shane Black's comedy and the incredible cast, they make this movie a lot of fun to watch and worth seeing at TIFF. But the thing is, there are too many dumb character choices and not that many impressive action set pieces that make it worth watching over and over again. So despite the fact that I did have a good time, I am going to give The Predator a 3 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Look forward to one more TIFF review this weekend. I gotta go back home because I couldn't get the rest of the week off, but, you know, the fact that I've seen this many good movies so far, I'm just having such a good time right now. Caleb, tune us out.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more No Perfect Movie reviews.